Hello, everyone. I'm Gary,
I'm John.
and we're Two Bros Doing Shows, your wrestling podcast. And boy, was there a lot of news this week. And
First of all, let's say that we're sorry for not putting out a show on Tuesday. For obvious reasons, it was, election day, and
we had to vote. It was crowded, and I got hit by a car. Yay.
But besides that, if you went and got to go vote, good for you. And we'll just leave it at that.
Now, to getting to the, at least what the hell is important to us. At this point, Sami Zayn beat Rusev on Monday for a shot at the IC title. Will he win?
Well, this goes into a bigger thing that we'll talk about later on. But honestly, I think there's a distinct possibility that we may see the IC title go to Raw.
Because I don't know. I mean, it's possible that it could happen, but I think having the US and the IC title on Raw is a bad thing, because your mid-card division then looks really bad on SmackDown. And I think there's more likely a chance of him winning the IC title and then saying F you to Raw and going to SmackDown.
Yeah, that was the other thing that I was thinking about. Was the only other way to play this would be to say, oh, you won the Intercontinental title, but because the Intercontinental title it belongs to SmackDown, you are now on SmackDown.
Now, on Talking Smack, they also talked about possibly trading The Miz to Raw. Oh, gee, I wonder who they're going to trade him for. Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
So, if he wins the IC title and then Miz loses his rematch, which we'll get to in a minute, there's a chance that, at Survivor Series, we lose the IC title, but then we'll trade you the Miz to get it back.
I think that, personally, I think that would be a good idea, considering the fact that, granted, Raw has some good speakers. There are people that can pull a really good promo, but they don't have enough. And I think getting Miz on Raw would actually bring up the ratings a lot.
Yeah, it seems like all the good speakers are on. I wouldn't say all of them, because Kevin Owens can always cut a good promo. Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho can always cut a good promo. So I think there's a few people, like Charlotte, can always cut a good promo. So can Sasha Banks. The issue here, I think, is in the fact that they're just not using and utilizing the people on the roster. And God knows for how many weeks we've been doing this show that we've continuously said this over and over again. SmackDown is the better product right now.
Yeah.
What's going to happen after WrestleMania, we don't know. But it seems like this whole roster split thing is beginning to come unglued. And I think they're realizing, oh crap, we made a mistake this past summer. Well, duh, I could have told you that.
Well, wait. Now, hold on. Now, I'm not sure that's exactly what they were thinking. In my personal opinion, what it is that they have certain wrestlers whom they thought that they were going to be able to utilize more on Raw, better suited to the type of program that SmackDown is. And I think Sami Zayn is one of those guys that's going to be better suited to SmackDown than to Raw.
And I think they tried to keep Sami Zayn on Raw because there was
Well, because
some
he's a fan
hope.
favorite.
Well, not only that, there was a lot of hope of more fights between him and Kevin Owens because there's a lot of history there. But I think maybe it might be best to keep that history buried for a little while. Now, the next thing is that the Miz's rematch against Dolph Ziggler is this Tuesday. It's going to be on the 900th episode of SmackDown. And, what happens if he wins? Because if he wins, he's going to stay on SmackDown unless he loses to freaking Sami Zayn. So it's going to be interesting.
Well,
and not only that, if Dolph Ziggler loses that title, where does that rematch clause fall?
That's a good question, which is why I think they're going to go the obvious route and just have The Miz lose to Dolph Ziggler on Tuesday. I don't see The Miz defending the title at Survivor Series.
Because they could just go full bore, wait a month, and then do a triple threat between Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and The Miz, which, I'll be honest, I wouldn't be against, at the Rumble, which is a cross-brand pay-per-view.
And aren't they advertising a match between The Miz and Ziggler? Or no, sorry, my bad. That was
No,
a few
not
years
that I'm aware of.
I was thinking something else.
But, Miz and Dolph Ziggler are going to be meeting on Tuesday for their rematch. What I am saying is if Ziggler being the champion and not having to, if he loses to Dolph Ziggler, or if he beats Dolph Ziggler, then could you possibly have him lose to Sami Zayn and have some kind of crazy triple threat thing go on? That's all I was suggesting.
It's an interesting thought, but honestly, I see it more okay, so here's the last thing that I can think of that could happen, and that is that The Miz beats Dolph Ziggler. He goes to Survivor Series, ends up either beaten or being beat by Sami Zayn. But if he's beat by Sami Zayn, it would be that Sami Zayn wants revenge and wants to go after The Miz, and thus goes to SmackDown. Or if Sami Zayn wins and gets the title, he'll be drafted to SmackDown, and it'll now be a feud between him, Miz, and possibly Dolph Ziggler.
Well, I see this being hopefully being Ziggler retaining, and it being Ziggler versus Zayn. Because Ziggler Zayn is something that a lot of people have been wanting on the internet, have been talking about for a little while. Because Zayn and Ziggler have something that a lot of wrestlers also don't have right now, and that's the ability to manipulate a crowd. And that ability, you can't get that when you're the king of safe style, I honestly, in working The Miz into that at all would be stupid.
I don't know. I mean, The Miz is a good worker too. There's no denying that. I think that it's, for me personally, it's a 50-50 shot. Because either way, if it's Dolph and Zayn or Miz and Zayn, it's going to be a good match.
Imagine the friggin' pop that you're going to get with Dolph, versus Sammy. I mean, that's going to be a huge friggin' pop for Survivor Series. Like, I would probably watch Survivor Series for that one friggin' match, okay?
And then you also have, the obvious trope, which is usually it's a face and a heel against each other for a title.
So, in that sense, are we going to see a change, or is this going to be because we haven't seen a face versus a face in a while? And I would kind of like that to be the case if Sami Zayn does face Ziggler, because we have seen Ziggler go heel a few times in his career. And with the Spirit Squad around, could the Spirit Squad turn on The Miz once The Miz leaves SmackDown, then connect the dots down the line, and then all of a sudden The Miz has some kind of wannabe friggin' Bullet Club? It could be that too, but again, these are just things that are going around in my head. I have no proof that any of this is actually going to happen. Proof that I do have of something that's happening is that Tuesday, that the WWE confirmed this about a week or two ago. The Undertaker will show up on SmackDown this Tuesday. It is the 900th episode, which we just said. And the big thing that everyone is wondering is that will there be any notice of his opponent at WrestleMania 33? Now, I don't think Undertaker is just going to make an appearance just to say, yay, this is SmackDown, let's cut the cake and friggin' drop the balloons. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be about his opponent at WrestleMania. Now, what everyone is wondering is who's it going to be? Well, theory. And again, I can only say theory because there is absolutely zero knowledge of this as of this time. He's going to be on SmackDown. He's not showing up on Raw. He was not part of the draft, therefore he was free to go wherever the hell he wanted to go. He chose to do this on SmackDown if this is what everyone believes it is, which would mean that it would more than likely be someone on the SmackDown roster. How likely is it that he's going to drop the I want to face John Cena bomb? How likely is it that he's going to say I want to face AJ Styles? I mean, there are a lot of great talents on SmackDown that he could supposedly have his last match against, yet there's no proof of this being his last WrestleMania either. That's all rumors, if you've heard that on the internet. But a lot of people want to know, who is he going to face? So what's your take on this whole situation?
My take on the situation, some ideas have been floating around because WrestleMania is a while away still. So it's very possible that even though he's going on SmackDown, his opponent may not be from SmackDown. Although it would be weird for him to, show up there and not make any, decision, actual statement about that.
He's got to be there to make some sort of impact.
Of course.
So.
Then again, there's nothing saying that in another week he won't go to Raw and also choose someone out. We could see a three-way match, for all we know, with him, one guy from SmackDown, one guy from Raw. I mean, I know that's wishful thinking. I'm not saying that that's an
I don't
absolute,
think that that's going to be the case, because I just think he's too old to hold up two people. And in the history of his WrestleMania matches, he's never done a triple threat that I'm aware of, but I don't remember any WrestleMania where he did a triple threat.
Well, here's the thing, and this is why I think a triple threat would work, is because he's so old he wouldn't have to try and help carry the match himself. He would have two other guys that could beat the crap out of each other as well. Now, that's just my opinion on it. That's what I would think. But if we're being realistic here, and we're just talking about him going up against one person, I think there's one person that a lot of people would kind of want to see, and that is the demon versus the dead man.
Well, we can talk about that in a minute because we are going to get to that, but let's keep going here. Now, another thing that was done was that. Well, first of all, before I even get to the next thing I want to talk about, is that according to Pro Wrestling Insider and eWrestling, the Big Show has been doing suplex contests with Braun Strowman, and that after this pay-per-view, that he and Strowman are going to be wrestling each other at Roadblock. I'm telling you right now, I cannot think of anything that makes me want to beat my head against the wall more.
Not anything you want to watch less?
Yeah. I mean, like, I want my $9.99 back so I can go get a fucking sub and do something and eat something that will bring me some joy. I mean, like, if this is the best thing you can think of to put on a fucking pay-per-view, then you deserve to be fired as creative. First of all, what's this going to be? Big Show's 33rd flip? Like, he has more flips than there are friggin' WrestleManias at this point.
More flips than a politician?
Well, I don't even want to talk about politician. That shit was over on Tuesday. But the fact of the matter is that this is a horrible idea. We've seen what happens when you put giants against giants in the WWE. The match fucking sucks. Like, that match has not been a good match since Undertaker versus Kane. And I'm not just saying that because I grew up in the Attitude Era. I'm saying that because it's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the times that someone like Great Khali and Big Show
and Rusev and Roman Reigns, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, I love the only thing Rusev or Roman Reigns did right at all was that Hell in the Cell match, and even that was not as good as the other Hell in the Cell matches. So, I don't know. You know, I don't want to see Braun Strowman, a guy that's finally coming into his own, fighting the fucking Big Show. The biggest goon and the guy who just moves so slowly when he just a knockout punch. Because it's like, no. I mean, Paul Wright might be one of the nicest guys on the planet. He could be.
But he just needs to retire.
Yes. Please fucking retire. Because you are infecting Monday Night Raw to the friggin' point where people hate you. People are going to come up with a song about you the way they did about friggin' Cena. You suck. Go away.
Well, heck, I think the last time he had a match, people kept chanting, "Please retire."
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to see your ass on the television anymore. Because quite frankly, it's big enough as it is. So just please, you know, do us all a favor and retire. Just go grab something from the shining stars of Puerto Rico and grab your ass a timeshare because we do not care anymore. Like, I'd love it if that was the way he fucking retired, was he grabbed a share from the shining stars. You know how much that would boost their fucking ratings? Oh, we got the Big Show to fucking retire finally. You know, now we're a legit tag team because we did something good for the wrestling community.
Okay.
Okay. Next, Shane McMahon was named the final piece of the men's group for Survivor Series. Do you honestly think this was a good idea?
I think that no. Just simple answer, no. I get that Shane McMahon brings a lot of energy to SmackDown, and that's probably part of the reason why it's doing so well. But him going, I mean, they could have chosen any other superstar. Hell, they could have given it to Kalisto instead of having him in that match with Brian Kendrick and have him be because he beat Baron Corbin. Well, actually, I shouldn't say beat. There was no match.
Well, yeah, because Kalisto kicked Baron Corbin's ass,
well, not
which
just
he
that, but
was.
He slipped on the ring apron.
Banana peel.
Seriously, how do you slip on the freaking ring apron? It's not that. I mean, is it that slippery? Was all the sweat coming off of him just dripping onto the ring or something?
Yeah, he put too much body grease on.
I mean, okay, I wasn't thrilled with Baron Corbin being in the Survivor Series, but I'm even less thrilled having some 50-some-odd-year-old Shane McMahon who still acts like a fucking teenager, bouncing around like he's part of the Mean Street Posse still, and fucking, trying to go off the top rope while he's breaking a fucking hip. No one needs to see that.
Top rope? You mean the top of Hell in the Cell?
I mean, okay, like, I get why that Daniel Bryan wanted him there to lead the SmackDown team.
No, Vince McMahon was the one that wanted him there. Okay, let's be real
no.
for
I'm just
a minute.
I'm talking about storyline wise. Because Daniel Bryan was worried that because of the Wyatt family, because AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose were all going to be on the same team, that they wouldn't work together. So they thought, let's just get Shane McMahon, this old-ass geezer who can barely put on a match, who basically let himself drop. He didn't jump off the cage. He let himself drop off the cage, basically, and landed
Banana peel.
Okay, he is not the guy that you need wrestling. Okay, you have other options. Pick them.
Yeah, and he even admitted that there was a list of guys that he could have picked, and I'm a little just discombobulated that you're allowing Shane McMahon to wrestle again. Like, I have to be honest, his match against The Undertaker was very subpar at best. I mean, it was nice to see Shane McMahon because he had always wanted to wrestle The Undertaker. And in that respect, fine. You got your WrestleMania match. Now go away and be a GM or whatever the fuck you are. But the fact is coming in again and trying to put your finger in that kettle again. That's too much.
And who the hell is he gonna go up against? Who the hell can he possibly match on Raw.
Oh, I can't wait till he gets a pump-up power bomb from Kevin Owens. He's going to get his ass handed to him unless some idiot lets him fucking dance around like he's Enzo Amore or something. Because that's what he looks like when he's dancing around with his shoes. Mr. Ching, 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 dollar, dollar. Now, you look like some tard who fucking, is ready to slip like Baron Corbin did. I mean, really? Really? Come on. Come on, SmackDown. Your creative team sucks, okay? Like Shane McMahon, it was the worst possible thing. Like, I was kind of hyped about Baron Corbin because Baron Corbin's been tearing it up. Hell, I would have been happy with Jack Swagger.
Yeah.
But why? You're trying to push Jack Swagger right now and you're not going to put him on a Survivor Series team? Are you stupid?
Or hell, for that matter, depending on who wins on Tuesday, you could have put the loser on the team.
Yeah, the Miz or Ziggler would have been a great pick, but you didn't pick either of them.
And you could have said, "Hey, you help win us this match. I'll give you a title shot."
So, anyway, in speaking of terms of Survivor Series, yet another revelation that's come about in the last few days is that the Cruiserweight title will be on the line. Brian Kendrick will be facing Kalisto, and that if SmackDown, i.e. Kalisto, wins, then not only does the Cruiserweight title go to SmackDown, the whole damn division goes to SmackDown. Now, I'm going to put this like this for everybody. So many people, when this whole Cruiserweight Classic thing came about, and afterwards even said that it was a mistake to put the Cruiserweight title on Raw for so many reasons. Mine is that there's just too much semantics on Raw to give a good amount of time to a Cruiserweight match. Now they want to flip it to SmackDown. I have no beef with that whatsoever because like guys like Cesaro said, SmackDown is the wrestling show. Less semantics, more wrestling.
Less antics.
Yeah. I think that you're going to get less with a show that has less promos. You are going to get so many great cruiserweight matches out of that than you are out of Raw. And the problem with Raw, especially now, is that there's too many damn promos. And you have way too many stupid short matches that mean nothing. And I think whoever it was at Creative that thought of this was brilliant. Because Kalisto needs to be in the Cruiserweight division anyway.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good thing because if the Cruiserweight division shifts to SmackDown, that means that Neville on Raw could be given a legit chance at something instead of being lost in the shuffle with the Cruiserweights.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the main thing is that you have a lot of people on SmackDown that are more sort of the high flyer type of people that aren't getting this recognition because they're not they're not being utilized at all.
They're not. And these guys, and for the most part, you've seen a few of these guys be utilized on NXT, especially Rick Swann. Rick Swann has been utilized a great deal. And, kudos to him. kudos to guys like Brian Kendrick and TJ Perkins who have been utilized and who have basically been the main focus of this division since the end of the Cruiserweight Classic. The issue right now is that I don't think WWE knows what the hell they're doing with this division.
Not to mention the fact that they're not really allowing these guys to build up the personalities.
Well, I think, and I'll get to this in a minute, a lot of these guys had prior things they had to do before they could fully commit to this. So I think by the time that we are on the road to WrestleMania, that all of this is going to be an afterthought, and they'll finally know what the hell they're doing with this division instead of sort of playing around with it so much. I think it's a good idea that this division does change to SmackDown. I think that we could see 1, 2, maybe even 3 cruiserweight division matches a week on SmackDown versus maybe 1 or 2 in 2 weeks on Raw. And I think we may stop having so many tag team cruiserweight matches and some decent timed one-on-one matches. So as far as who I think is going to win that match, I'm going to go on a limb and say Kalisto, because I think they want to change it to SmackDown. I think this is the brainchild of them saying, okay, this is what the fans want, so let's give them what they want and see if we can take that ball and roll and run with it.
Yeah, I definitely I can see that happening. I do hope Kalisto wins. I hope it's not one of those things where like TJ Perkins comes out and interferes and so it ends in a disqualification so it doesn't change hands. We don't need something like that. Right? These guys need proper respect, and you're not going to get that if you're only doing like one match a night with these guys. This is the same issue that you had the last time they had a brand split, and they didn't utilize. I mean, granted, at that time, one show had the women's title and the other had the cruiserweight, but like even then, back then in SmackDown, they didn't utilize those guys as well. So I'm hoping that if they do take them to SmackDown, that they'll be more richly rewarded than last time.
Well, we'll see what happens. Going on to my next story, TNA has announced that they would have an entire broadcast at the Hardy compound called Total Nonstop Deletion.
Yes.
In which they would defend the tag team titles versus a team called Apocalypto, whoever the hell they are, on December 15th.
I'm all for this.
Now, December 15th is about a month away, and this is assuming they can even make it financially until that point. I mean, we have heard so many stories about TNA on our Corgan Watch 2016. So if this happens, I'm with you. I'm all for this. Because the broken Matt Hardy thing is the best thing they've got going for that entire company.
Yeah.
I really feel like this is it.
Everything else has been pretty much crap. I mean, their knockout division isn't nearly as good as it used to be.
Boo.
Their top champion right now, well, actually, it used to be Lashley, but now it's I forget.
David Davidson or some crap like that. I don't even care.
Yeah, and that's the thing. No one really. I don't think many people are paying attention to anything that besides the broken Hardy angle.
Yeah, that whole company's broken as far as I'm concerned. The honest truth in this one is that, Matt and Jeff's contracts are up in February. And they're going to be hard pressed to keep them in that company if WWE is pursuing them. Now, February is an interesting time for the WWE because that's right before WrestleMania. So it is after the Rumble, which would keep them from getting them into the Rumble, but it is right before WrestleMania. So, I mean, if it is true that WWE is looking to pursue them, I think TNA is going to be hard-pressed to keep them. If they allow Matt to stay broken Matt Hardy in WWE, because unlike someone going from WWE to TNA, someone going from TNA to WWE can pretty much keep whatever the hell persona they want. So, because they own the right to that persona. We saw it with the Club. We saw it with James Storm because he was still the Cowboy. I honestly, Austin Aries changed things up a bit. Obviously, T.J. Perkins wasn't Suicide. So, I honestly, you have to believe that broken Matt Hardy has spent a long time building up this broken character. And it is brilliant on a very intellectual level. As far as wrestling fans would think, it takes a long time to build a character like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if WWE can simply shift it over, they're going to.
Yeah, I personally I think they need to because okay, if nothing else, I would just love it if Matt Hardy was just like a part of creative. Even if they don't want him to wrestle because of all the crap that the Hardys have been through in terms of drug problems and stuff, at least put them in a creative role.
Well, I think that if they do decide to go back to WWE once they get that final accolade and that Hall of Fame and whatnot, yeah, I think they would love them in a creative role. I just think that, WWE is really thinking 90s, especially with rumors of Paul Heyman possibly being put in a creative role. That's huge. I mean, that would be huge. So, but again, we have to really wait till February until anything goes down. Next story. Vince McMahon is blaming Sasha Banks, according to the DailyWrestlingNews.com, for how bad people looked at her match against match at Charlotte at Hell in a Cell.
So apparently we're in the minority where we thought it was a good match.
Yeah, I mean, we felt that it was a great match. And guess what, people? It was the first of its kind. You cannot expect perfection at the first of its kind. I realize that those that are as old as we are, in our late 20s and 30s, grew up, seeing matches that were the first of their kind and thinking that they were the greatest things ever. But if you truly look at things like TLC, Hell in a Cell, Buried Alive, and concepts like that, the very first ones really weren't all that good. The only first one that was really, really good was TLC. And that was because of three things: the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
I think that it took till about the third or fourth Hell in a Cell to finally sell me on that match, because I was always thinking, why not just do a cage match? It's the same thing. Up until Mick Foley got thrown off the damn thing and hit the announce table. Yeah. So I honestly believe that, it's unfair to blame either woman at all for how that match went down. I think Sasha Banks did an excellent job. And the fact is that you can't blame the women. You put the women in that match.
Yeah, and everybody was cheering the fact that it was going to be a first time of two women going into such a match.
And there's no problem with that. And really, I think what you had were two women that were really scared of how people were starting to look like ants once they climbed up the cage. I think Vince literally nixed a part where Charlotte was going to jump off the top of the cage onto Sasha. They nixed that the night of because they were afraid of them getting hurt. So that's where this whole pulling a Paul Pierce and having her getting power bombed into the announce table and taken away on a neck brace and having it, be a carbon copy of the first Hell in a Cell. It needed more flair, and I use that term loosely.
Intended.
Yeah, no pun intended, than that. And I really think that maybe these women deserve a second chance at that match.
Well, we're going to be seeing the first TLC woman.
Well, he is correct. Because Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch will be the first TLC match for the women, and this is also according to DailyWrestlingNews.com. Now, they want to do this at TLC, but unfortunately, nobody knows whether that pay-per-view is going to be Raw exclusive. So...
No, you mean... Why would it? No, it's going to be SmackDown exclusive.
Okay, so if that is the case, then TLC will probably be the first time. So, ironically, in that course of events, we are going to see which lineup is better, because a lot of people, including myself, have been saying that the SmackDown roster of women is so much better than Raw's. And the reason is because Raw's roster of women is Charlotte, despite having Sasha Banks and Bayley and Nia Jax and all these people who have incredible friggin' talent but continue to be on the back burner. I am so glad that the people from NXT are not moving up right now, because someone like Asuka would be lost in the shuffle on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
It would be so disappointing. So I think that right now Raw needs to get their shit together with their women's division, because SmackDown is making them look weak. I mean, come on, be honest with me here.
So they've had they've had Bailey out there a few times. But mostly, yeah, you're right. It's been Sasha, Charlotte, and Charlotte's protege. God, what's her name? Uh,
The Goon, as far as I'm concerned.
Anyways, so it's basically been three of them. You haven't seen Jack from Nia Jax.
Except her beating up jobbers
Or
with a
beating-
broom, because they're all broomstick matches.
Or beating up Bailey that one time.
Which
on
was
Raw.
unnecessary, because Bailey is beating her friggin' twice on NXT, but nobody would know it because of the way that Nia Jax is being booked. It's like Bailey is being booked to look weak when she was one of the biggest women's champions on NXT. Like, why are you doing that? She had one of the greatest NXT matches ever against Sasha Banks, yet she's being made to look like a wuss.
And this goes to another thing about the woman on Raw, and that is that they put them all on so many on the women's team, and they haven't done anything with like a good chunk of that team. So until that, I mean, you can't just put them on the team and then after Survivor Series is over, not do anything with them afterwards.
Yeah, and the great part about the SmackDown women's team versus the Raw women's team is, look at what's going on with the SmackDown women's team. You have Carmella, who's in a serious thing with Nikki Bella. She's been doing that feud since well before Survivor Series. You had Becky Lynch, who is fighting Alexa Bliss, again, well into that feud before Survivor Series even started. In fact, that one was before No Mercy. And that match that she had this past Tuesday was supposed to be at No Mercy. But because Becky Lynch had to have surgery, she couldn't do that match. So, yeah, these are feuds that are long-standing feuds that fans like and are getting a big thing out of. You want to know why in Scotland everybody was singing the song for Bailey? It's because it's the only person that people care about. People are so sick of Charlotte. And as much as I hate to say it, Sasha Banks, because we have been force-fed Charlotte and Sasha Banks for what, 3-4 months now?
Yeah, a good long while. This is really reminding me of the Randy Orton John Cena feud.
Yeah, and because Raw only wants to focus on the daughter of Ric Flair and the cousin of Snoop Dogg. Listen, I get it. They're big names, but they're not the only names you have. Nia Jax is the cousin of The Rock. Wow. Freaking Bailey, 2-time women's champion on NXT, and the only 2-time women's champion on NXT. Yet you're using her like she's a toothpick. Congratulations. You just wussified one of the most powerful forces in your women's movement. I mean, it just disgusts me what Raw's doing to their women. Anyway, getting to the next thing, speaking of wussified, WWE pulled Roman Reigns from the European tour due to family, emergencies, which I've got no beef with. People, shit happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And this is according to Dave Meltzer. But here's the problem I have. At Roadblock, which is going to be the December pay-per-view for Raw, he could win the Universal Championship. If they stick the Universal Championship on him, I will throw something through my television. This dude does not deserve it
No,
at all.
no, he really doesn't. I mean, they're they've been doing the same thing over and over again, trying to get Roman Reigns over on the with the people. But the thing is that no one wants Roman Reigns. No one cares about the Samoan dynasty anymore. They just want good wrestlers.
You know what you do to get Roman Reigns over? You rebuild the Shield at Survivor Series. Then you have them whip everyone's ass up to WrestleMania. And then you have him beat the shit out of Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho's Hot Topic Banana Republic scarf wearing ass, and then you have him do it as a member of the Shield. Then you can dissolve the Shield because I want this title. I want this title. Yeah, just like you did the last time. So, but right now, some sort of support from fans, meaning rebuilding the Shield, would do him so much good. Because you have that small portion of fans who are cheering him, and then everyone else is like, boo!
So much so that they have to actually mute the audio so that the boos don't sound as loud.
Yeah, I mean, like, crowds are not digging the whole Roman Reigns thing.
No.
I've got no beef against the guy. I don't. But quite frankly, Roman Reigns, in my opinion, he's given me one great match, and that's the Hell in a Cell. I think that it was AJ Styles that made Roman Reigns look good when the two of them had a feud. I think that it was Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose that made Roman Reigns look good in that triple threat at Battleground. I think that it was Triple H that made Roman Reigns look good at last year's WrestleMania. So I think it's time for Roman Reigns to make Roman Reigns look good. Would you not agree with that?
Well, yeah. Honestly, I just, in my personal opinion, Roman Reigns has a lot of work to do. I don't think that bringing the Shield back and then dissolving it again right after would be a good idea. Personally, I thought they disbanded the Shield too soon in the first place because it was such a popular staple at the time that people just loved it. But once they did that, and separated them, Roman Reigns being on his own, he didn't have enough experience to carry himself. And I still don't think he has enough experience to carry himself properly, because the fans, when you know that the fans don't like someone and they will constantly boo him. I mean, granted, it hasn't been as big as it's been lately, but he still gets quite a bit of boos from the crowd.
Well,
just let me finish.
Go ahead.
I just think that if you do form the Shield, it's got to be longer than just through WrestleMania, or it's gotta be a while, or either that, or they have to put Reigns back down into developmental.
Well, I don't think he's going down into developmental, but I think he could mid-card.
If he screws up again, I mean, let's face it, that suspension that he got, that hurt him. That hurt him big time.
It doesn't look like that to me. You're going to give the guy the company's top title? It doesn't seem like it hurt him at all.
Well, that's assuming that comes to fruition.
Yeah, and WWE's,
nothing's a certainty
until it actually happens.
Yeah. Like, you can say that with, like, TNA because they tape it in advance.
Well, yeah,
so
they tape it,
stuff.
like, at least 2 weeks in advance.
But the thing is that you can't say that with WWE because someone could get injured, something could happen. Roman Reigns could slip up again. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, if Roman Reigns gets another drug suspension before WrestleMania, I guarantee they're going to go with Seth Rollins. But the thing here is that they also want Roman Reigns to go up again, or Kevin Owens potentially to go up against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the Universal title.
I guarantee you, if it's Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, that match is going nowhere but the toilet.
I don't know. I mean, part of me does want to see this because their match at WrestleMania 31 got interrupted. So we never truly saw a winner. Now, I don't think that it should be Universal title level because that means it's going to be the main event. But I would totally love to see this just on a one-on-one capacity level. I don't see it as a main event type match because they're both slow-ass guys who have no cardio.
Yeah.
But I don't think that if this happens, I do not think that it would be the big, upsetting match that everyone is making it out to possibly be.
I think it will be. I think it'll be extremely disappointing. But then again, that's just me. But also, I think that we're forgetting that.
By the way, folks, I got that info from Pro Wrestling Insider. But
anyways, I think we're forgetting one thing, and that is that we, by the time WrestleMania rolls around, we'll be seeing the return of Finn Balor.
Well, possibly. We don't know that for a fact just yet. But, yeah, and that's yet another, now that, done with this little thing, Finn Balor is another person that many, many people think could be fighting The Undertaker. And Sting is another person that has tweeted and said that he is ready to go. So
I want to see a Sting. Everybody wants to see a Sting.
Yeah, but between Sting and Taker, those guys have 100 years on them. So
yeah, but still, it doesn't mean that they can't put on a match. If nothing else, for the member berries.
Well, we can save our what ifs for possibly Tuesday's show, but definitely. I think that as far as Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns possibly, hitting the Brock Lesnar, I would be interesting to see Kevin Owens, but I also feel like Roman Reigns deserves that second chance to get a shot at Brock. Because his match at 31 was interrupted.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I so long as they're not putting the title back on him.
I don't want to see it be for a title. I think it would be a mistake to have it be for a title. But I think if it was just one-on-one, which guy's bigger, which guy's stronger, which guy has the bigger set of balls, yeah, go for it. But if we're talking Universal title implications, I don't want to see fucking either one of those guys next to the Universal title.
Yeah.
Like, Brock Lesnar doesn't deserve a title, period. That fool works like 5 days a year. Like really.
Yeah, and
You want to show up on Monday Night Raw and sit there and do nothing, wrestle maybe 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year and expect the Universal title. I have one thing to say to you. Go fuck yourself. As far as Roman Reigns, you are booed by everyone. Get a clue, bro. You're a heel. You are not a face. Stop acting like a face. Go up to creative, slap them sons of bitches, and be like, my character don't work. I'm not John Cena. I want to be who I want to be. Because obviously, if he wanted to be, I'm John Cena, then he would have gone that route. But he seems very, disinterested in what he is doing. And that is my biggest fear for Roman Reigns, is he just doesn't give a shit anymore.
Well, and I think that's I think what it is, I don't think it's that he doesn't give a shit. I think really what it is that he just doesn't want, he might not want to be a heel. He might, which in my opinion is a bad idea, because he reminds me a bit of Randy Orton in terms of attitude. He doesn't have the chops for doing babyface.
I can agree with that.
That's why every time Randy Orton has gone babyface, he's always had an almost immediate heel turn.
Hi, I'm Randy Orton. I'm a tough guy.
Yeah, but now that he's doing the stuff with the Riot family and being a heel again,
he's a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that having someone like Roman Reigns be that powerful heel, something that you need, I think. Well, honestly, I mean, let's just face it right now. The heel characters are a lot funner to watch on Raw because than the baby faces. I mean, yeah, you have Seth Rollins, but I wouldn't call him exactly
Seth
100%.
Rollins isn't a heel. So.
No, but neither is he a baby.
Well, he's
face.
an anti-hero.
Exactly.
He's a stone cold,
kind of guy. Yeah, and I think that honestly, that
Roman Reigns is the exact same kind of guy. It's the whole Shield is that kind of guy. Even Dean Ambrose on SmackDown is that kind of a guy.
He acts crazy and he's unpredictable.
All 3 of them guys are crazy sons of bitches. So just let them all be in one group of crazy sons of bitches. Problem solved. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. That would be the way to bring back the Shield. They're all sick and tired of management, and so they decide to beat up everybody.
Management or trying to please people and this and that, and then they become just they just riot through the whole company.
And then James Ellsworth becomes the Shield's mascot.
No thanks. Yeah, the day they let James Ellsworth be the Shield's mascot is the day he gets power bombed through a freaking announce table and ends up like Sasha Banks right before a Hell in a Cell match. Anyway, for Two Bros Doing Shows, I'm Gary.
I'm John.
And Top Guys
out.